you're also kind of an industry insider. You know a lot of friends who also own bars. You operate in Bangsa as well. So let's talk about
Yeah.
that side of the industry, which is, I think,
More on the
um,
bar side, huh?
yeah, like
There's not much to talk about. Everything's closed, man.
that's precisely like yeah. So how bad is it at this point?
Okay, it's quite bad because the bars are going to be hit more than the restaurants because there's literally what is your offering? The offering for bars are going to be basically selling cocktails to go, and cocktails to go don't last long. You know, the amount that you pay your staff to do these cocktails, you can't even recover quarter of their salary through the sales. So, like for Bangsa, for example, we have decided to close. So this 2 weeks, or if it's 1 month, it's closed completely. So there's zero income there. And then Velvet Lounge is closed as well. There's no takeaway. There's no drinks. There's no nothing. So in this case, we're just biting the bullet. Probably going to talk to our landlord to renegotiate the rents. We probably get our staff to work in different outlets if possible, do rotations, and basically bite the bullet. It's tough. It's tough in the bar arena because that is the one that is hit the most compared to the restaurants because there's so many regulations about bars opening, and then bars do well on volume. So can you imagine with social distancing, how much money we have lost because of social distancing? Do you know how many times the police have come and checked? The pressure that the police, which is, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, it's a good thing, but that you're always in this paradox, okay, I'm losing money here, and I'm probably I'm in long term may lose the business. At the same time, you're thinking about public safety and you're thinking about, cases going up. So you're living in this sort of paradox, which is very stressful. So, the DBKL comes, the police comes and checks, and so you lose money in that area. So bars is very, very, very challenging because there is no other income except alcohol. And then you don't have entertainment, there's no entertainment, so you can't really, and then you can't have crowds. So it's very challenging. As what can be done, I think, honestly, you ask me, I don't see what can be done much besides selling your alcohol online or creatively making cocktails and doing. But I would look into R&D. I would look into refurbishment. I would look into painting. I think certain industries are allowed to open. I think about deep cleaning. Those are things, strategizing, rethinking, getting your uniforms done, or getting your SOPs properly done, because that's going to save you time when you open back again, and it's going to save you that energy. So put in the time to wisely look at your SOPs, look at what you need to do now.
Another point you brought up earlier was rental. Places like Talawi, the rental is insane. But it used to make
Yep.
sense, right? Because bars used to be able to pay that. Now, you like you said, you have to go back and renegotiate. That process, how likely is it to happen for a lot of the bars in that area?
I think because the landlord, so we in Talawi we basically have the kitchen, but the party that our partner that runs the bar, I don't think there's much leverage to negotiate rentals because there's no firm thing from the government. It's not a directive that you must reduce rental or you must. But so what I mean, so landlords in those areas, you see, even if 5 bars close down in Talawi, there's going to be another 5 that are going to try. 3 bars, so there's going to be another 3 that come. So landlords know that suburban areas, there is always the demand is more than the supply. So they are very unlikely to reduce the rental. There are a couple that will, that depends on the individual sentiment. But I think what can be done is restructure payments, maybe a staggered payment model, you know, discuss with your banks, talk about the moratorium, like send letters to your banks, discuss, engage your bankers, engage your landlord, do staggered payments, find some way to be able to justify your case to them, because I think it's not one person that's suffering, it's everybody that's going through this. But I think at the end of the day, it's about reframing. I mean, if you sit in this mindset and you look at it as negative, it's going to be more negative. You have to reframe this whole situation and see, okay, how am I going to turn this into an opportunity? How am I going to strengthen my business? How am I going to renegotiate rents? How are we going to get out of this together? I think that's really important, but it's tough. Let's not kid ourselves, especially the bar scene. So let's say you have a bar in Bangsa, right? Right now you own say all the bar owners in Bangsa. They're not getting income, but so they'll probably have to give their staff unpaid leave. They can't sustain having all their staff. So you're going to have people unemployed. Then the landlords are not going to receive rent because there's no money to be. There's no cash flow. Bars, they don't survive on, like, they don't have backing for 1 year and stuff like that. It's month to month cash flow. So basically the landlords are not going to get money. Then the people that they buy from, the suppliers, are not going to get paid. So basically, what's going to happen is the owings are going to accrue. So the owings to the landlord may accrue, the owings to mainly to the maybe to the rent and some staff, maybe the staff housing that they've those kind of uh, earnings will accrue, losses will accrue. Then what happens, right, when they start to they start to open back certain segments, and you starting people allowed to go out, you're going to basically imagine starting your business with a heavy loss. So you're already starting on like three back foots. So you're starting on the back foot. So there will be people who said, look, I can't do this, I'm leaving. But the majority of people, because it's their livelihood, they're going to stay. But what they're going to do is that they will be behind on their payments with the banks. They'll be behind on their payments and the rent. And eventually there'll be a lot more pressure. So to earn back, to make this model appropriate model for the people who are currently in the business, a very challenge. We've lost the F&B business model has to be totally rediscussed. The model of F&B has changed over the 10 years. When I started this business, it was a beautiful model. The model was something that made sense. The current model with pre-COVID for the past 2-3 years was starting not to make sense. And now with COVID, the model of just owning a bar or a single restaurant does not make entire sense. The effort required, the energy and the passion required with the output and that heavy burden doesn't make sense. So it's something to be concerned about, but it's something that will continue, because what choice do people have to switch and to pivot now when they've developed this expertise is going to be challenging. So I think, to answer your question, when people come back from the situation, there'll be a heavier burden that they'll need more and more to recover. And it's not, the business is not going to bounce back just like that. It's probably going to be very slow. So you'll see a very slow burn rate, and you'll see a very slow, stress will increase, anxiety will increase. I feel pressure on the individual increase, price wars will start to happen, which is already happening. It's good for customers, but it's terrible for the industry. And so we're going to see like suppliers affected, going out of business, like wholesalers going out of business. So if we don't spur the economy quickly, or find some way to get it done, and to have tourists coming back and to have corporate events coming back, or the vaccine to come faster, I see a very slow death to a lot of places. Sure.
Yeah,
Happy to share this. Happy to share this with
yeah.
you. Thanks for
So I
thanks
hope
for
the
reaching
government
out.
gets this too, and perhaps, but it's not like one person changing the rules. Like I think the whole industry needs to come together and figure out how to move on now. So
Correct. No. I think the government is doing what they can, but I think that they need to have a look. I mean, I love the government and all that, but please, if you're hearing this, please help us. Please find ways, creative ways to see how you can help us. Maybe grants, or maybe startup grants, or maybe stuff that can help existing businesses and banks. You see, because the thing is, the banks, right? They support businesses that are already doing well. That, for example, if you want to take a loan, you have to have positive cash flow. You have to have, or for example, you have to show your 6 months. You can't have any accrued losses, but you may be having good business now. So then, how do we improve if we need that little amount to get to the next level? And that is the thing, that because banks are not going to think about the community. I mean, banks are profit-driven model. So I think if the government can put some pressure on the banks, or create sort of any programs that can help struggling entrepreneurs, or small business owners. This is the bulk of the community that needs the help.